Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a Super George. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
Anyway, what I'm getting to, and I got to tell you, Eric, we don't have enough intrigue in our country, in our car world, coming around. I've got some really cool intrigue stories. They don't involve Carlos the Edsel either, who really is he's the guy. I mean, he's the man. I just think that guy is just the neatest, sleaziest guy in the town. Anyway, these are things that are going on in the automotive world, and they're kind of intriguing. First of all, Daimler finally. This is the fallout to 2015. Okay. And the VW Stinkygate and a lot of recalls, Daimler has finally settled their probe into the U.S. diesel emissions. The $1.5 billion settlement with the Justice Department, EPA, and CARB, the California Air Resources Board, CARB they call it, covers about 250,000 Mercedes-Benz light vehicles and vans. The automaker also will pay $700 million to settle class action litigation brought by customers. There's a lot of people that did that because they lost money on those vehicles, okay? They did. Now, this is what the intrigue I'm talking about, Eric. Now, this is cool. German prosecutors probe the possible death of a suspended VW employee. Catch this. Prosecutors in Braunschweig, Germany, said Wednesday they were investigating the death of a man found in a burned-out car on Monday to determine whether there were any links to the dispute between Volkswagen and the Bosnian supplier group Prevent. It gets better. A spokesman in Wolfsburg, Lower Saxony, Germany, where Volkswagen is based, of course, confirmed a body had been found in Rottorf, Helmstedt, but referred other queries to the Braunschweiger prosecutor's office. Braunschweiger, is that where the liverwurst comes from, I wonder? The Braunschweig prosecutor's office declined to comment on whether the dead person was a Volkswagen employee, adding that it had not yet been possible to formally confirm the identity of the deceased. But a local newspaper, the Helmstedter Nachrichten, wow, I'm going to learn German, Eric, citing people familiar with the matter, said the dead person was a Volkswagen employee who had done business with the Bosnian supplier group and who was also being probed for potentially illegal recordings of conversations. That's so much cool intrigue. Oh, it gets better. Just gets better. And here, the only thing we have some spying. FCA is now being accused by GM of spying on them. Well, here, FCA or Fiat Chrysler Automobiles on Monday disputed allegations made by General Motors of espionage and bribes funneled through offshore bank accounts. Ooh, that gets better. Comparing the claims by its rival to a third-rate spy movie. I think that's funny. FCA said GM's attempt to revive a federal racketeering case that a judge dismissed in July is meritless and should be denied. That's what happened. That FCA or GM brought a case against FCA regarding of the UAW scandal, which really it smelled right. I mean, I thought there was meat on that one, but it turns out there wasn't, and it got dismissed by a judge. GM said its amended complaint last week that FCA and co-conspirators are guilty of corporate espionage that directly harmed General Motors and violated the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or the RICO Act. General Motors claims that when UAW was being bribed by FCA Chrysler and settling, that FCA settled with the union for less wages, or no, more wages rather, because they bribed the bad guys in the union, and then of course it cost General Motors and Ford money, extra money, when they went to negotiate. So they influenced the negotiations. In other words, they bribed the negotiations for labor and contracts. Speaking of contracts and unions, Unifor. Now that's the Unifor is the union, the automotive union up there in the land of Yadder Hader, where the hosers are, or whatever they call them. Unifor has its hands full. Trust me. Contracts between Unifor and the Detroit Three expire on September 21st. Unifor President Jerry Diaz has said that the union will push for product commitments and from the companies at each of their Canadian plants. See, Canada's got a problem. They see that they can read the handwriting on the wall. All these companies are bringing their plants back to America and hiring American labor. Labor negotiations between Unifor and the Detroit Three formally begin in Toronto on this coming Wednesday, kicking off a round of talks that could prove to be the future of Canada's shrinking automotive assembly base. They are losing. They're losing jobs because they're coming back here. They're closing plants up there. It'll be my opportunity to tell them exactly what's on my mind and how I expect negotiations to proceed and what my drop-dead positions are, Diaz said. I'd watch the use of that phrase, drop dead. Diaz and FCA officials exchanged proposals at about 9:30 a.m., and he was supposed to do the same with General Motors and Ford throughout the day. They want guarantees. They want to have guarantees that the union wants guarantees that Ford, Chrysler, and Chrysler and GM will stay in Canada building their vehicles, or Ford has an engine plant, I think, in Windsor. They have different plants all over, but we're starting to bring all those back. All those plants are coming back to America, and the people are working, putting people to work in America. That's the new agenda south of the border, boys. So all you guys just better hose off, or whatever they call it. They tell each other to do stuff. I don't know what that's called, but I got to tell you, I like it. I like when jobs come to USA. I like that. I really do. And I want the car business 100%. Our car business should be 100% right here. Okay, Uber and Lyft, they got grief. I got a story about Uber and Lyft, and it's not pretty. And let's see, it's going to take about three pages to do. So what time? Oh, we got time left. A California judge Monday granted the state's request for a preliminary injunction blocking Uber Technologies and Lyft from classifying their drivers as independent contractors rather than employees. Here we go. Organization. Judge Ethan Schulman of the San Francisco Superior Court delayed enforcing his order by 10 days to give the companies a chance to appeal. The decision is a setback for the ride-hailing companies as they defend against a May 5th lawsuit by California Attorney General, land of fruits and nuts, California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, and the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco. Uber and Lyft are accused of violating a new state law that requires companies to classify workers as employees if they controlled how workers did their jobs or the work was part of their normal business doings. So we got a fine line here. Uber and Lyft they're trying their best to make this different, but it's not. I don't know that it's coming around. And they don't want to give full-time. They don't want to make employees full-time because then they will have benefits and stuff. And I just don't want what you can do with that.
Kindly, I think it's. Let me fix the mic first.
Yeah, okay. It's high time that these drivers, these people that work for them, get their due. They're working like dogs, and they make decent money, but it's not a lot, but it's something. But they should have other benefits to keep them as employees. You keep better employees that way. A union organization is about the only way this is going to work. That's the only way they're going to get it done. We're going to finish the story about Uber and Lyft because after that judge delayed in San Francisco, 2 days later, at a hearing in San Francisco Superior Court, Judge Ethan Schulman said he found no reason to extend his August 20th deadline for the ride-hailing companies to appeal the preliminary injunction he issued on Monday before it could take effect. They're going to have trouble. I am convinced that any extension of the 10-day stay is required. I'm unconvinced that any extension is required, said Schulman. Both applications are denied. Uber and Lyft, of course, they said they will appeal. They're always appealing. They don't want to have to pay. They don't want to organize their drivers. They don't want to have to pay them, benefit them, and all the other stuff that, well, come on. Now, as a follow-up to all this, I mean, this gets better. Uber CEO is threatening to shut down in California over that law, because that's the only state that has the law that they got trouble with so far. CEO Dara Khosrowshahi told MSNBC that unless the state court reconsiders their ruling, blocking it from classifying drivers as contractors rather than employees, the company would have a hard time adjusting quickly. They threatened to temporarily shut down service in California if it loses the drawn-out fight over a state law seeking to reclassify contractors as employees. Well, you know what, buddy? I don't know if you got a choice there. And besides, it's California. They do what they want out there.
That's true.
That's
true. And to piggyback on that, so about a year or two ago, I was driving for Lyft. And, when you're signing the paper, when you become a Lyft driver, they ask you these questions about, your records, so on and so forth, right? But on the bottom, when you actually drive, it says, make sure you be careful because majority of the accidents are going to be your fault. Now, I'm writing down what it really says, but in the retrospect, that's what it is. Like, you must be careful, especially if you have a passenger. Now, if you have a passenger and you get in a car accident, you have to have a really strong case on why it's not your fault. Because 9 times out of 10, when you get in a car accident, it's your fault.
Oh, yeah, and I got to tell you something else. Lyft doesn't offer any insurance.
No, they don't.
Your car insurance has to take over, and a lot of people have car insurance. In the fine print, it says if used for commercial use or taxi use, there's no coverage.
No.
There's no liability coverage.
There's no liability coverage for that one.
You need to watch yourself on that one.
So it's weird. It's one of those, I think all the states should do it, or at least the big states that carry these Uber, Lyft, programs, for them to insure the drivers some way or another, because not only you're making money for the company and you're making money for yourself, but you're also risking your life in one of those instances because it's almost 24/7 from the morning to night.
Well,
and I'm talking about late night.
There were so many areas that had no taxi services. It's not like they're out to put the taxi people out of business. They are in certain areas where there's taxis available, but they're mostly in areas where you can't get a taxi.
Right.
You got to have somebody. You want to ride, you're going to have to call for one.
Yep.
Well, most regular drivers, or many regular drivers, are hoping to secure the same health and employment benefits afforded to the other workers in the state. But Uber has said the labor law threatens to shut down the entire gig economy by substantially raising companies' expenses. Well, Khosrowshahi said his comments in a television interview Wednesday. If the court doesn't reconsider, then in California it's hard to believe that we will be able to switch our model to full-time employment quickly. Not good. Not good at all. Uber and Lyft got problems out there. California is going to be like the test state for this, and they're going to be bad. It's not going to be good at all. Not at all. And if you use Uber or Lyft, it's all right. My company, my shop did inspections for Lyft for a while. And we saw some real bad cars come through there, and we had to reject them. And all you do is you make people hate you when you start rejecting them. All they want to do is make a living. But I can't put you in a defective car either. So that's rocking a hard place is where they put us, and that's not going to happen. I'm not going to have that. Let's talk something nice for a while. Michigan, the great state of Michigan, the Wolverine state. The boys up north, Yatter Hater. They and I know we have a station in Michigan, I know you're listening, is eyeing dedicated lanes for autonomous and connected vehicles. Hello? The state is considering a possible corridor between Detroit and Ann Arbor that would speed deployment and enable safe movement of high-tech vehicles. Michigan leaders intend to place connected and autonomous vehicles in the fast lane toward the future. Michigan has always been really proactive in this area, in the artificial intelligence and the autonomous driving and that kind of thing. They've always been one of the leaders, not afraid to do anything, not afraid to test and put together programs like they're talking right now. Chiefly rendering for the product, which will explore the viability of building such a corridor, depict the creation of dedicated lanes reserved for connected and autonomous vehicles that are separated from human traffic by separation barriers that ensure safety and efficiency. Well, as long as it's safe, I mean, CAVNU, a subsidy of Sidewalk Infrastructure Partners, or SIP, Sidewalk Infrastructure Partners, yeah, anagram is SIP, itself a division of Alphabet Inc., oh, that's cool, Google's parent company, Alphabet's big, will run the exploratory project along with Google's subsidy Sidewalk Labs, the company's urban digitalization platform. Yow! See, everybody's in bed with everybody, and none of us are sleeping with anybody. But by God, they're in trouble. I mean, well, not in trouble. They're moving along. This is cool. They are moving along. Toyota and Mazda. I told you a month ago, maybe more, maybe longer, that they were building a new plant in Alabama. Well, guess what? They just upped the ante on that baby. They're going to pour another $830 million into their joint manufacturing plant under construction in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama is famous for the NASA stuff. To boost production efficiency at what had been a $1.6 billion plant, slated to start making new crossovers next year for Mazda and Toyota. That's kind of cool. They can build them in the same place. Can you imagine building a Mazda and putting a Toyota emblem on it and all the other stuff, or a Mazda with a Toyota door? And oh boy, just think of the screw ups we could have, Eric.
I don't even want to think about it.
I know. The added investment, which the automakers said would be used to incorporate more cutting edge manufacturing technology into its production lines and provide enhanced training, lots of training, to its 4,000 planned workers. 4,000 workers at this plant. Boosts the total investment to $2.33 billion and represents a roughly 50% increase in its planned cost less than a year before. It is due to start producing new compact crossovers for both Mazda and Toyota. Construction of the plant, which was announced in 2018, was slightly delayed by COVID pandemic, but Toyota says that most of the work has been completed on its roof, walls, floor, ductwork, and fire protection as of we speak. When operating at capacity, the two Japanese automakers say the plant will be able to produce up to 150,000 subcompact crossovers each for Mazda and Toyota. Hokey smoke. That's a lot of cars.